part 2 of a series called Billboard, and we're looking at the messages that music billboards to us, but even more importantly, we're looking at the messages that we billboard with our lives, with our actions, with what we think, what we say, what we do. And so like tonight, in this particular message, as you're listening to this, as you're watching this, this is part 2. And the music that we listen to billboards a specific message about what we believe, what we think, what we say, what we do. And the singer and the producers of that particular song, like they have in mind something that they want you to know, something that they want you to think, something they want you to believe, and ultimately something that they want you to spend your time and your money on. Like every time there was that song by the Police called Message in a Bottle, like I'll send an SOS, like, that's that whole idea, like, hey, I need help. And they want folks to be like, hey, yeah, I need help. I can dig that. There's that song by the Beatles, and their message with that called Help is that we work better together. Like, we need help. We need someone to help us out with whatever it is we're doing. There's a lot of other songs. There was a song, there's this lady named Sarah Bareilles, and she wrote a song. I really can't say her name. I don't know what it is. Anyway, there's some L's in there. There's an R and an AI. But Sarah, she was told to write a song. To her producers said, hey, I want you to write a song. We need something catchy. We need something with a hook. We need a love song because that's what sells records. We need a love song. And the story goes that she actually wrote an anti-love song. Like she wrote an anti-song about love because she was forced to write a song about love, and she calls it Love Song. And what's amazing about that is like she pushed the envelope and she's like, I'm not going to give you the message that you want. I'm not going to billboard a message that you want. I'm going to billboard a message about not billboarding a message, which is still a message. And I know it's meta, and I know it's way up there. But she writes a song called Love Song, and it's been on Billboard. It went number 1, and it stayed 41 weeks on the charts. How crazy is that? It went 4 times platinum. That particular song, Love Song, sold 4 million copies. That is crazy. The music that we listen to billboards a specific message. You don't think so? There's this article on NPR, and this producer named Makiba Riddick, she helped write for Rihanna and a bunch of other folks, but particularly for Rihanna. And she says that the music industry always asks this question, how can I make the kids say this thing that they've never said before? How can I make this thing, this song, how can I make the kids say this thing that they've never said before? I mean, even if we don't think that some songs billboard a specific message, we're like, dude, I just listen to the beats, I get it, it's cool, I like the way it thumps. I just like the way it sounds. Like, we listen for messages, and like messages are being aimed at us all the time. And they get you. Artists and producers get you through this thing that they call a hook. Like, there's a hook in these songs. It's the catchy part of the song, and it makes it memorable. For example, there's a song called Hook by Blues Traveler. And in this song, the writer literally says, he's singing a song about nothing. He says, as long as I have a hook, it's the hook that brings you back. He says, it doesn't matter what I say. I mean, I've said nothing so far. I mean, the music that we listen to billboards a specific message, and consequently, so do we. Like, you might not think, okay, what I do in class, or what I do at school, or what I do at work, people don't really pay attention, but they do. You might think, well, what if I just hold my arms like this all the time, and I'm sitting in class, or I'm at school, or I'm in college, or I'm at work, and my boss is talking to me, I'm in the meeting, I show up late to the meeting, I don't show up to the meeting, I show up late to work, I have my head down at my desk, no one's gonna care, but the things that you do, and the things that you say, ultimately broadcast a message. It billboards a message. And sometimes we don't think that our messages matter, that what we say isn't a big deal, right? But that's not the case with 14-year-old Hannah Smith in Europe. Like if you looked in some of the headlines in 2013, that you'll find that Hannah Smith in Europe was on ask.fm, which is a website, and you can ask questions. It's a social website, Ask.fm, and she was asking some questions, and a bunch of friends on there started to say, you know what, you should just kill yourself. You're not worth anything. And they started to bully her, and they started to bombard her with messages, and she ended up taking her life. And we think that, the messages, the things that we do, the things that we say, the things that we type, the things that we tweet, the things that we Snapchat, like they don't matter, but they do. There's another guy, a 17-year-old boy in Scotland, that he was blackmailed via Skype by some people that were posing to be his friends on Skype. Our local newspaper a few weeks ago mentioned a girl who bullied another girl online. I mean, ultimately, it's life. And it's life or death with every breath that we take. With everything that we say, with everything that we do, it's life or death with every breath. It's life or death with every breath. Everything that you say, everything that you do is either giving life to someone and affirming someone and affirming the good in life, or everything that you do or everything that you say is bringing death and badness and decay and rottenness. What if I just keep to myself? Well, if we work better together and you're keeping to yourself, then you're causing someone else possibly to not live things to the fullest. And we do that all the time. Solomon, he gives us a hook to keep coming back to, this idea, this message to keep coming back to. And I love it because Solomon is so wise. And so he's here in the Bible, and we're going to be in Proverbs, and you can read along if you want to. It's going to be Proverbs chapter 10. It's going to be 5 little verses. Proverbs chapter 10, verses 6 through 11. And Solomon, the wisest guy ever. But Solomon, he's writing this, and it's what we call an inclusio. And an inclusio is this type of writing style. It's kind of like using quotation marks or brackets. Okay? And when you use quotation marks or brackets, like you're saying, what's inside of here really is important. It's not the brackets that are important. It's not the quotation marks. It's what's inside of here that really matters. It's kind of like a sandwich. It's like the bread doesn't make it, it's not the bread that's really important, unless it's sourdough, that's really good, but it's not the bread that's really important. It's like the meat or the contents inside. I'm going to have this kind of sandwich. The bread just says, hey, this is a sandwich. This is an inclusio. This is a part of speech, and we need to pay attention to these verses, these scriptures. But what's important is the content that's inside. In an inclusio, as Solomon's writing this in Proverbs chapter 10, he's saying, hey, this is all good, but you need to pay attention to the meat in this, because it's life or death with every breath. And he says this. He says this in verse 6. And in verse 11, he says, blessings are on the head of the righteous, but the mouth of the wicked conceals violence. Verse 11, the mouth of the righteous is a fountain of life, but the mouth of the wicked conceals violence. Blessings are on the head. The mouth of the head is righteous. It's a fountain of life. What a right man says, what a right guy, a person living the right kind of way. If you are a person living the right kind of way, it is a fountain of life, and it is giving life to people. It is affirming people. It is affirming the ultimate person that we should affirm, which is God and Jesus. We're saying, we're making much of you, God, because we're living the right way. We're living the way that you told us to live in the Bible, Jesus, the pattern that you set out and the pattern that you called us to, and we've trusted you with our life, Jesus. And so we want to make much of you and make you famous in this world. And so we're living the right kind of way. And Solomon says when you live the right kind of way, it's like a fountain of life. And it's like bubbling up. It's bubbling forth. It's everyone can see it. It's life or death with every breath, and everyone can see what you're doing. It is billboarding a blessing, a life of blessing, and you're just billboarding these blessings to people. You're giving life to people. Your words are meant to bring blessing. But he says, the mouth of the wicked conceals violence. A wicked person uses words to cover up what they've done. A wicked person, a person not living the right kind of way, that's got some stuff going on in their lives, they use words to cover up what's really going on. And they do that. They want to hide their wrongdoing. More specifically, they want to hide their state of heart. And when you're using words to cover up stuff, especially when you lie, when you're using words to cover up things, you're covering up the state of your heart. Maybe you've got some empty rooms in your heart, some empty spaces in your heart, and you're like, I don't want anyone to know what's going on in my heart. I don't want anyone to know what my life is really like. And so you put on this facade, you put on this fake idea of who you are, this mask of who you are, because you're like, I don't want anyone to know. and you're just bringing death, and you're just bringing decay, and if you're not living, then you're dying, right? And that's what's happening here. He's like, the right person is bringing life, but the wicked person, or the person that's trying to cover up stuff, they're bringing death. And they're showing the sad state of their heart, and the wicked state of their heart. People are, it's life or death with every breath, but I want to let you know that because of your actions, because of the messages that you billboard with your mouth and with your hands, and what you tweet out, and what you Snapchat, what you Facebook, how you sit in class, or what you do at work, people could already tell what's going on in your life. People can already tell the state of your heart. They can already tell if you're living or if you're dying. They can already tell that. Spoiler alert. Verse 7. The remembrance of the righteous is a blessing, but the name of the wicked will rot. When you billboard the best things, the things that bring life, when you billboard Jesus, because Jesus is the only one that brings life, when you billboard Jesus, people will remember you in a good way. Not like, hey, I need to be famous. Hey, I need folks to give me a pat on the back. Hey, I want things to be about me. Because when you're billboarding Jesus, literally you are making more of Jesus than yourself. You're billboarding Jesus over yourself. And so the remembrance of the righteous is a blessing. This is a good thing. It's a good, pleasing fragrance. And I mean, think about that. Like a good, pleasing fragrance, it's memorable, right? Like you walk through the counter at, you walk through the beauty section of like Dillard's or Belk. We have a mall nearby, and like when I'm walking through, I get down the escalator from the men's section. I'm trying to go to the rest of the mall. I want to go to Chick-fil-A because that's where Jesus eats. And so I'm going to Chick-fil-A, and just kidding, it's a good restaurant. And so I'm going that way, and like you have to go through, in order to get to the exit, you have to go through the fragrance area. And you can tell immediately the stuff that smells good and the stuff that you're like, whoa, I can't believe they're selling that. Who put their name on that? And then you realize it was some pop star who's trying to billboard another message, like, oh, that's gross. But you remember that stuff that like smells rotten, don't you? But you also remember the stuff that smells good. This good, pleasing fragrance. The remembrance of the righteous is a blessing. You will remember that. But the name of the wicked will rot. Your name and reputation decays quickly when you billboard death. When you billboard harm. When you billboard noise. Some of you are like, dude, I'm not doing bad. I'm not doing good. I'm not doing bad. But maybe you're just creating a lot of noise around you. And you're not really saying anything of importance. You're just saying stuff. Like if you're the type of person that plays Xbox all day long, and you're like, I just need to prestige one more time on Call of Duty, and like I'm doing this, like you're just billboarding noise with your life. Stop wasting your life. Like, don't waste your life. I mean, you were brought to life to live. Stop wasting your life. I mean, you billboard life or death with every breath. And then the name of the wicked, the name of the person who billboards death will rot, will stink, it will be a stench. Verse 8 though, a wise heart accepts commands. A wise heart accepts commands, but foolish lips will be destroyed. I mean, listening is the crossroads to wisdom and folly. Like wisdom is the crossroads. Like wisdom is the crossroads of listening is the crossroads of listening. I'm tongue-tied. Listening is the crossroads of wisdom and folly. You get to the middle and you can make a choice. Do I want to listen? Because if I listen, I'll become wise. Listening and paying attention to life and to these empty spaces and these empty rooms, that's important. I should do that. But if I don't do that, if I'm not wise in that, then I'm choosing the other path, the other crossroad, then it's folly. Foolish lips will be destroyed. The Septuagint, which is a Latin version of the Bible, says, he who walks tortuously will be tripped up. Just like sometimes I get tongue-tied. But he who walks wicked will fall. he who walks wicked will fall. You don't want to fall. You don't want to walk tortuously. You don't want to walk in a manner that is just wandering through life. And I know you don't, and I don't. You billboard life or death with every breath. Verse 9. The one who lives with integrity lives securely. The one who lives right lives safely. You're like, dude, I want some safety. I want some security in my life. The one who lives with integrity lives safely. They live right. The one who billboards life lives right. If you distort your ways, you will be found out. If you distort your ways, you'll be found out. Billboarding death reveals the dead state of your heart, and you don't want to be caught in that. You don't want to do that. Verse 10. A sly wink of the eye causes grief. Foolish lips would be destroyed. And again with verse 11. The mouth of the righteous is a fountain of life, but the mouth of the wicked conceals violence. You billboard life or death with every breath. So I want to challenge you with a question. I want you to think through this. I want you to think about it. I want you to mull it over. I want you to wrestle with it. The question is this: what kind of message are you billboarding? What kind of message are you billboarding? Like, what kind of message are you billboarding on Facebook? Like, what kind of message are you billboarding on Twitter? And I gotta let you know, the stuff that you retweet are other messages that you're billboarding. You say, hey, this message that was billboarded, I want to billboard too. And so you retweet it. What kind of message are you billboarding? What kind of message are you billboarding in your text messages to people? In your Snapchat to people? In your speech? Like, what kind of messages are you billboarding to your parents, your mom, your dad, your grandma, your grandpa, to your husband, to your wife? Like, what kind of message are you billboarding to the people that are involved in your life? I mean, it's life or death with every breath. You billboard life with Jesus. If you want to billboard life, you billboard Jesus. You speak about Jesus. You do stuff for Jesus. You work together with people because we work better together to bring them towards Jesus with everything else. If it's not Jesus, everything else is death. If it's not Jesus, maybe it's gossip. Maybe it's yourself. Maybe it's pop culture. Because a lot of people are like, dude, I'm involved in pop culture. I know everything pop, and you don't know anything of Jesus. And that might be you. And you're like, dude, I felt like my life has been dead lately. Maybe it's filled with gossip. Maybe it's filled with yourself. Maybe it's filled with a pop culture. Maybe you're so concentrated on your boyfriend or on your girlfriend or on other people. And you're like, what can I do to billboard life? What can I do to get back into life? And you need to get back into Jesus. What is one way? What is one way that you will billboard life this week?